Come to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the September meeting of the Farmville Board of Commissioners. We appreciate you taking this opportunity to involve yourself in this local governing process. This evening, we're pleased to have with us Ronnie Wilkes. Ronnie is the pastor of 508 Holiness Church here in Farmville, and he's going to come and lead us our invocation, after which I'll ask you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you all rise, please?
It's time let us all bow our heads. Oh, Heavenly God, our Father, Lord, we thank you for blessing us to be a part of this great day. We thank you, Lord, for last night's sleep and this morning uprising. We thank you, oh God, for keeping us covered with our precious blood as we come, Lord, this evening in this meeting, in this gathering. Lord, we want you to touch our minds, touch our hearts, oh God, and open up our understanding concerning your will and concerning your way. We ask you, Lord, to bless the leaders of this great city, oh God, for the decisions that have already been made and for the ones that to be made that will be for the betterment of the citizens of this great city. We ask you, oh God, to bless us right now, one by one, and bless us all together. In thy precious name we pray. Amen. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You've already taken your seat. We're now, if you picked up one of your agendas at the back of the auditorium, you'll see that you'll be able to follow along with us throughout this process. Now we're at item D, citizen presentation, and we ask you to sign up before the meeting and to limit your remarks to 3 minutes. And we have 5 people who have signed up. And so I'm going to recognize them. As I call your name, please come forward and tell us what you want to talk about. I think Heather Irvin is the first one here.
Good evening. My name is Heather Irvin. I am a board member of the Farmville Community Arts Council and current chair of the Drama Committee. One of the eligible activities of the Neighborhood Revitalization Project is the removal of architectural barriers that restrict mobility and accessibility of elderly or severely disabled persons to public facilities. The Farmville Community Arts Council formally requests that the town consider using part of the grant funds to establish new ADA-compliant restrooms in the theater annex to serve the theater facility. Farmville Community Arts Council has secured the endorsement for this project from the DeVisconti Trust, owner of the annex. Thank you very much.
Questions? Thank you, Heather.
Thanks.
Mayor,
yeah.
I'm not sure if Mr. Moore may want to, is that okay to, the comments like, I know we're having a public hearing on that issue. Just want to make sure that it didn't have to be repeated during that section of the meeting.
I felt like that's what she was doing. Okay. All right. Miriam Lewis.
I think I can probably talk loud enough without the microphone. In light of the recent lawsuits against hog farmers in our state, the farmers in our community propose a resolution in support of Pitt and Greene County farmers. John Moore actually passed out a copy of the resolutions in front of you right before the meeting. The action we would like for the town of Farmville to commit is to support the Farmville area farmers in passing this resolution by the town in support of all, just not Pitt County and Greene County farmers, but all North Carolina farmers. I'll read the resolutions now. Whereas frivolous nuisance lawsuits are threatening the very existence of farming in North Carolina, and whereas agricultural and agribusiness is the #1 industry in North Carolina, contributing $85 billion to our state's economy, whereas we enjoy a food supply that is abundant, affordable, and among the world's safest, thanks in large part to the efficiency and productivity of North Carolina farmers, and whereas our farmers provide the food, fuel, and fiber for our state and our country, And whereas agriculture touches the life of everyone, whether it be in our daily meals or the clothes we wear, whereas farming supports other community businesses and the local economy, it is estimated that we are going to need to increase food production by at least 70% in 2050 to meet the growing world food demands. We are losing farmland at an alarming rate, and it is getting progressively more difficult to recruit and retain farmers willing to work our state's land. We need to support our agricultural industry and our farmers and encourage a safe and abundant food supply. This resolution was initiated by the town of Mount Olive, and it was passed in the town of Mount Olive. It's been passed by the Pender County and Onslow County commissioners. It is being presented in most of eastern North Carolina towns and counties this month. And now Robert May would like to speak to this resolution.
Good evening. My name is Robert May. I just want to speak as a positive on the resolution that Miriam just read. Agriculture and farming have always been very important to this community. As a matter of fact, part of the town name is farm, so it's very important. And so I speak as a retired farmer. I farmed from 1971 to 2016. I'm also Vice President of Pitt County Farm Bureau. And at times that very few people, or less and less people, are familiar with what's going on in agriculture, Pitt County Farm Bureau has supported, and I believe they've started some ag classes and FFA program out here at the high school. So I just want to add my comments on the positive nature that I think this will be good for the town to support agriculture, because a large part of the town goes back to dealing with agriculture. Thank you.
Very well. All right, Jay Johnson.
Mayor, Board of Commissioners, I'd like to, on behalf of Music on Main, thank y'all for letting us put on a wonderful event at May Museum under the beautiful trees, the breeze, and everything going on down there. We thank you. We had a large number. We have some vendors that were there also. I really think that the people at May Museum were very pleased and all, and so I just want to thank you for that opportunity, and when we do anything further, we will be back in touch. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. Michael, I can't read the last name. Is it Dixon or? Wilson. Okay.
I'm here for the Town of Farmville Neighborhood Revitalization Grant Funding. I'm here to find out how do you go about receiving those funds.
Well, we're just in the state opening process tonight, so you will be kept in the loop.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, now, I don't know, this is just presentations, you all, do you expect any action tonight? We don't normally take action on citizen comments. And it was also pointed out to me earlier that we need to be resolving something on here if it's a resolution, and there's no resolved. So, is this time sensitive? I'm looking, I don't know who's.
From what I understood, that this would go to the next meeting, your next meeting,
Okay.
and then you would pass it as a resolution.
All right, well, we need someone to work with our town manager over there to finish this up. Right now, it's incomplete, okay? And we will take it up at the next meeting. Okay. All right, very good. That's all that we have for the citizen comments, citizen president, now the town manager's comments.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Just a few really quick things here. Our library director's on vacation now, so I'm going to sort of step in his stead. For the library project, and some of this you've already been informed of, but I wanted to mention it for public consumption. Design is still progressing on the library project. The Pitt County Board of Commissioners endorsed Farmville's grant application for up to $500,000 in grant funding from Golden Leaf a couple weeks ago. And our project was one of only 2 projects in Pitt County that received formal endorsement by the commissioners. So that is very good news. One other item, Jones Street Drainage Grant. If you recall, we applied for some money and were successful in getting some Golden Leaf money for Wallace Street, improvements to Wallace Street drainage. Now that that's complete, we were able to apply for additional funding, which we put in another application, this time for Jones Street down near the park. If you ever go down there after a big rain, you can see it's got a lot of problems there. And our Public Works Department spent a lot of time trying to keep that clear, but it's a never-ending battle. So we went ahead and put an application for more grant money for that. And that's a $102,700 grant, no local match required. So it would be, if successful, it would be totally grant funded. And there's already an initial meeting scheduled with the Golden Leaf staff for September 12th. So they just got it, I guess, last week, Rich, and they're already scheduling a meeting. So I think they're eager to help fund us again. And then once we do that, keep applying for more money. We can only apply for 1 grant at a time. So just wanted to bring everyone up to speed on that. Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is financial report. You don't have one, but the board has been supplied one by our finance director. And our practice in that is that we study it before we come here, and if we have any comments or questions, that we render those to our finance director. Does anybody have any questions on these? If not, we'll accept those as been reported. Changes, additions, and deletions to the agenda.
Mayor, members of the board, I spoke with Rich Moore, who will speak to this CDBG hearing a little bit in a few minutes. I talked to him earlier today to confirm that the grant requires 2 public hearings before submittal, and the deadline is September 28th, which you don't have another meeting scheduled to hold a public hearing between now and the 28th. Tonight's the first hearing, but then there needs to be another one. And the earliest it could be to meet advertising requirements would be the 18th of September, which is a Tuesday. So I would ask that you add an item just to consider maybe scheduling a special meeting or something that would allow us to have that second hearing sometime before the deadline, before the 28th.
Well, you're saying by the 18th?
Well, I'm saying the earliest it could be would be the 18th to meet
yeah.
advertising,
Okay.
but it has to be done by the 28th, which is when the grant is due.
Okay.
I guess it had to be before because he has to be able to get the comments in on the grant application.
Okay, I'm putting down here 10A, well, make it 11. 11 would be to reschedule October's meeting. Okay, is there, considering this, is there a motion that we add this item to our agenda?
That we add this item to our agenda.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Shackelford that we add it to the agenda is item number 11. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. The ayes have it. All right, that takes care of all your, maybe that takes care of
Yes, sir.
you. Okay. All right, we move on now to public hearings, and it's agenda item number 1 is a structure for demolition, and Mr. Ellis is going to present that to us.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. The property we're talking about tonight is located at 3757 South Walnut Street. It's Pitt County parcel 19939. The owner has received all the required certified letters. I've got no response from the owner at all. As you can see, these pictures are coming down. There's some wood rot around several of the windows. There's wood damage on the ceiling of the front porch, wood damage around the eaves of the house. And since there was nobody to help me get inside the house to do an inspection, I just did it from the outside. However, I do suspect that there's probably electrical plumbing upgrades necessary at this property. And as you can see in these in these pictures, the yard is overgrown. At this time, I'm asking permission to move forward in the demolition process.
All right, thank you. Have a seat, Paul and Will. Okay, you've heard the presentation by Mr. Ellis. This is a public hearing where you can state your opinion and your concerns, and I'll open it up now for you to come forth and do so. Anyone who would like to address this board about this particular structure? Seeing as there is none, I'll declare the public hearing to be closed at this time. And board, you've heard the presentation, you've seen the pictures. What is your pleasure?
If I could just ask Mr. Ellis a question,
Yes.
just to clarify, and just to clarify so we understand, the owner still has 90 days from today to bring the house up to the minimum standards?
Yes.
Okay,
They will get a letter after this action tonight. That before we get nothing.
okay.
Any other question? Any motion?
I make a motion, we approve the request to proceed with the demolition process.
Okay, the motion has been made by Commissioner Dixon that we approve this structure demolition. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. No ayes have it. I don't know where I closed the public hearing or not, but I will close it at this time. I did, okay. All right, second item. CDBG. This will be a public hearing also.
Good evening, and the purpose of tonight is to conduct the first public hearing in the process of seeking grant funds through the North Carolina Department of Commerce Community Development Block Grant Neighborhood Revitalization Program. The Department of Commerce has received about $10 million of funds, maximum grant requests from applicants, which have to be units of government, is $750,000. Applications can include housing improvements, but they must meet owner-occupied, low moderate income facilities. It's a little bit different than prior housing programs that allow those tenant-occupied structures to be in the program. This is very specific guidelines in that these homes must be, owner-occupied. The applications can also include other activities that support housing, which include access for disabled to facilities, senior centers, housing for homeless, housing or shelters for victims of domestic violence, transitional housing, community facilities, neighborhood facilities, and recreational facilities. And that can include streets, drainage, water, and sewer needs as well. But it is acknowledged that the main thrust or the primary use of these funds must address housing improvements in the community. The program, as current, does not require a local match, but an applicant may receive bonus points if they're willing to provide a cash contribution. The application process requires 2 public hearings. The first is to receive general input on community development needs within the town. Second public hearing is to specifically present the formal application to be submitted to the state. Applications are due September 28, 2018. And just to acknowledge, and as a point of reference, that it is acknowledged that during the public comment period that the Arts Council has requested consideration for funds be allocated through the grant application to provide ADA facilities in their building. So at this time, I'll be glad to open the floor for general questions or comments. I'll be glad to answer them, and certainly any questions from the board.
Okay. Hold on just a second. Let me open the public hearing at this time, and you can stay here and answer. But I do declare this public hearing to be open now, and we already had a couple comments. And Michael, if you didn't finish, you can come up here and approach the board about,
Yes, I would like to know, how do we go about, or what kind of application from to apply for the grants?
Well, yeah, let me have it, yeah, what's your address?
3601 South George Street. Owner occupied.
Yeah, and you're Michael Wilson?
Yes, but my mother owns,
Okay, so it'd be your mother, or be the one?
daughter's card.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, and what we will do is we will begin the process of getting a roster of known housing need. You know, we've got a pretty good roster of homes that we know have some deficiencies in the community. We'll begin to develop those. You know, if there's any known citizens who have concerns about the problems with their homes, the substandard that need improvements, that would feel that they would meet the low moderate income requirements, we'll develop a roster. We'll evaluate those homes and certainly include anything that's potentially eligible in the application process. If application is made and the town receives funding, the town will develop a committee of representatives that will evaluate and prioritize the needs. The goal would be to get the most bang for the buck for what the funds that are available, addressing not only the substandard housing but specific needs of the owner occupants. And so that's a process, but hopefully we can get there.
All right, thank you.
you'll be hearing more about it as we move along.
All right, thank you.
Can't do it all tonight. Now, I'm going to just repeat, you did say no
Low moderate income.
no tenant housing.
No tenant houses.
All owner occupied.
All have to be owner occupied.
Okay. All right, anyone else that want to speak to this issue in this public hearing? Seeing there is none, now I'll close this public hearing in this time. And this is our first public comment, and you got what you need for the...
Got what I need, and I don't know if it matters. We had a consideration in your agenda item at the close of the public hearing, after we received public comment, was to have consideration for scheduling a second public hearing.
Well, and I made it 11, and we can put it here.
Yeah.
Right, 'cause that's where so if you, board, if you'll move agenda item 11, we just assign, if you'll move that up to the side here this
I'd
evening.
like for the board to entertain the idea of having this on the 18th of this month. I would hate for it to conflict with the October agenda because I got a feeling that's going to be real busy. And rather than move the October meeting, I'd like for it to remain as it is and have this public hearing on the 18th. That gives you about 10 days to...
So just a public hearing we have on that day.
For his public hearing on that date here, and that should meet the advertising requirements too.
Yes, sir. We would get that in the Reflector, which would be the daily paper, so we wouldn't have a problem with getting the 10-day notification.
All right, the second part of this then is Commissioner Board. Do you make that a motion?
I'd like to make a motion. We meet on the 18th, which is a Tuesday night, September the 18th. And I would suggest we meet probably 6:30 in the morning.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Commissioner Moore that we schedule this meeting for the next public hearing, and that's for you folks, on the 18th of this month. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. The ayes have it, and it's scheduled. Now, very briefly, tell us what you're going to tell us on the 18th that you didn't tell tonight.
Well, on the 18th, what we'll do is we'll have a recommendation in terms of allocation of a specific amount of funds to address specific housing needs to homes that will meet the low moderate income threshold, and what percentage of the grant funds to be used for secondary support activities. And we'll coordinate with the town staff to make sure that we got that, because what we want to bring back on the 18th is what we submit. So if the consensus is to use a portion of these monies to address ADA concerns at the Arts Council, that's what we'll put in there. But it'll be
Mr. Wilson's farm. Yeah. How will they know this? How will we get the word? Because Mr. Wilson, I'd like to think you're the only one that had any questions, but I don't think so.
No, and
so how do we get the word to Mr.
And we will get the word out, and we'll start going into in a lot of the areas and doing a canvas to make sure that we get the flyers out, and we'll contact some of the, the churches and some of the area groups that maintain rosters of folks that have, have requested assistance just from various activities to make sure we get as much as we can.
It'll be a busy 14 days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
But they won't be left out. If they have
Yeah,
a concern, they will.
That's right.
They will know it. Okay. All right. Anybody up here got any more questions for Rich?
Mayor, I had a question. If someone, sometimes we get questions, could somebody submit a comment in writing if
Yes.
they can't be here on the 18th?
Yes. They can provide, who's not able to attend can provide a written comment or a request, and then we've got a 10-day period to provide a written response, and we'll maintain whatever communication is provided to the town as part of the application process.
Okay. And
Yes,
Richard,
oh, I'm sorry.
is there an income threshold?
Ultimately, there is an income threshold that will have to be met to qualify under the low moderate income provisions.
Will that be given out at the next public
Yes,
meeting?
and that will be established, and really in terms of long-term eligibility, because this will involve, work on private property, essentially, there will actually have to be source documentation provided from a potential recipient before any work can be done. There'll have to be, proof of income will have to be documented.
Okay.
We'll have those thresholds published.
I must foresee a lot of questions that night at 18th.
Oh, yeah. Well,
You're going to be ready to answer them.
yes, sir.
And that meeting will take place at 6:30.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Rich. Thank you.
All right. I do appreciate it.
Mayor,
Yeah.
with this, you just struck a nerve with me that you see a lot of questions to be asked on this. Are we in a position that we may want to have this meeting at the community center, or there should be a gathering or something that McDavid does at the community center in the next 14 days to gather all this information? So I don't see any need for the board being there, but I do see a strong need for David being there so that people can get there quick, fast, in a hurry and answer all these questions. Is that?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can work with that. We can work with it and try to get the word out and set up something at the community center.
I think that would be,
Yeah.
I think that, take that under consideration.
Yeah, we can do that. And we'll coordinate with Mr. Hoskins and set that up.
All right. Thanks, John.
Yes,
Okay. Are you through, Rich?
I'm through.
You good?
I appreciate
Okay.
it.
Thank you. All right. Following along on the agenda, items for consent, there are 3, 4, and 5. And we normally take these unless someone wants them pulled off. We usually take these all as consent. So is there an item that you want removed from the consent agenda, board? If not, is there a motion that we approve these by consent?
I'll make a motion that we approve by consent.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Elks that we approve these by consent. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. Now, we're going on to presentation or items for decision and discussion. And the first one is a presentation by District Court Judge Mario Perez. And I don't believe he's here, is he?
I don't see him.
Let's see.
All right, well, maybe he'll come in before we get through. We'll go on to item number 7, resolution authorizing sale of surplus real property at 4102 South Main Street, which is item number 7.
Mayor, members of the board, this is the follow-up or second step to the process of selling some of your surplus property. This property was advertised for sale. It's located at 4102 South Main Street. It's a vacant parcel. We did have a proposal or an offer for purchase in the amount of $2,500 from Tracy Shannon House. We advertised it, that offer for 10 days, received no counteroffers or increased offers. And so the next step would be for the board to consider selling it for this amount to Ms. Shannon House.
Okay. Thank you, David. All right, boy, you've seen the write-up and also heard the comments from the town manager. What is your pleasure on this particular? And any questions for Anyone? Okay, is there a motion that we proceed with this? Or do we hold up?
I make a motion, we approve the resolution authorizing the sale to Tracy Shannon House.
Okay, you've heard the motion, board, from Commissioner Dixon. Do you have any discussion? Anyone wants to, more information? If not, all those in favor of Mr. Dixon's motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. No, ayes have it. Next is item 8, resolution authorizing the sale of real property at South Main Street next to Farmville Furniture. You have anything to say about that, David?
This is, again, another proposal or another 2 parcels that are adjacent to one another. Parking lot beside Farmville Furniture was offered for sale at the same time as the last parcel. And there were several bids received. The last and highest bid was $22,500. Phil Lewis was the bidder, and this was advertised for 10 days, upset bid period. No other bidders raised the bid, and so it's coming to you tonight as the final step for disposition on whether you sell it, and the price would be $22,500.
All right, thank you. Any questions for David? As my understanding, we can hold off on this or reject this? Or?
It's totally up to the board. You can act on it or not act on it or whatever.
Okay. I assume there are no questions because I haven't had any, but we'll get a motion and we'll have a discussion on it.
Make a motion, we approve the resolution authorizing sale of land to Phil Lewis.
All right, you've heard the motion by Commissioner Moore that we go ahead and approve and sell this property, which we've had in our, I think, maybe 8-10 years. Motion's on the floor. Any discussion? If I'm permitted to discuss anything, let me say that back when we were looking at Farmville Hardware, tearing it down and making a big parking lot there, I stated, even up here in this room, I stated that I thought we were best served by small parking lots scattered out throughout town, rather than have a big one at one location that may not serve the purposes that we're looking for. I would hate mighty bad to see us get rid of this one when we could make it a public parking. Already is, but a more improved public parking. When we, just a few months ago, was in dire need of more parking in the town of Farmville. I would like to see it improved. I've made no secret about that. I think that the town ought not to have an unimproved lot on their main street. For a progressive town, well, I think it could be paved and striped and bring not only public parking to downtown Farmville, but also a more attractive parking as well. We had a small parking lot several years ago, and you know where it is, that the town gave up on over there next to Plank Road Steakhouse. And as they should have, Plank Road, when we gave it up, got it, and it no longer was public parking. I would hate to see that on where we can request that or demand that to sell it as field, that it remain in public parking, but I would certainly hate for it to become private parking. We have it in our hands, and we have already established the needs that we have. So I thank you for allowing me to make that comment. Anyone else up here? All right.
I think that's a fair comment. That's all I was going to say.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion, which is to let it go for 22.5, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? No. Did everybody vote?
No.
No, David was. Was it 4 ayes and 1 no?
Was that?
I was an
Yeah.
aye.
Alma, you aye. Okay. So the motion passed 4-1.
Mayor, can I make a comment in response to your comment?
Yes, yes.
First of all, the comment about tearing down the hardware store was rumor. This board never, do your homework, never took a stance on tearing down the hardware store. That was a rumor mill. Item number 2, Commissioner Shackford was the one that started this wheel turning when he made the comment, and it got legs, that the town of Farmville does not need to be in the real estate business. And that's how this all came about, when the citizens started talking about we had land that we could sell off, that we didn't need, somebody else could maintain it. And that's how this whole process got started. This is not the second, this is the second time that Mr. Lewis has bought this parking lot, just so y'all know. Since he bought it the first time and then sold it and then bought it again, if my memory is correct. So that's how we got involved in selling off properties that we no longer need, that somebody else does need, and they can start paying the taxes and the upkeep on it. And as the mayor said, we've had that parking lot, how many years, Mayor? 18 years?
What, the one next to it?
Yes, the one we just sold.
No, I don't think it's been that long. It was back in probably 2012.
Okay, so we've had it, and that's all we've had, is had it. And now somebody else will maintain it, and it's their responsibilities as the town of Farmville proceeds to consider the request by Commissioner Shackford that we get out of the real estate business.
Again, so I don't know that when Mr. Shackelford made that statement, whether...
Would you like to challenge me on it? I certainly would take time to go back
Well,
and research
well,
if you want
I
to
will.
debate this, and if you'd like to debate it, I'd
Yeah.
like to refer to you to our rules and procedures, that you pass the gavel and we can do it, or we can get on with this meeting.
Um,
Whatever you wish, sir.
I'm not really debating it. I'm telling you my perception of it. And I'll look at the newspaper there. You can go back to the newspaper and see if they ever printed that we were going to tear that building down.
May I remind you that you, sir, wanted to give the building away?
Pardon?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, you wanted to give the building away.
I didn't want to buy it, but anyway. And being in the real estate business, this is not, I'm not talking about real estate business. I'm talking about parking business.
Well, I just wanted it to be clear of how we got to where we are.
Okay, well, the motion's already passed and we're going to sell it.
Yes, sir.
So,
Hate to be argumentative, but I'd like to keep the record straight, sir.
all right. So, agenda item number 9 is the Parks and Recreation Plan.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. It is time for the Parks and Recreation to update our comprehensive master plan. Typically, master plans for grant purposes are only good for approximately 10 years. As of last month, our master plan became outdated. We received 3 different offers, and I presented those to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and they agreed to go with the In Focus unanimously to recommend to you guys. The big thing with the master plan, 1, it helps us apply for grants, but 2, it allows the citizens to put their input in what they want to see facility-wise and program-wise. So that's a big help for us by knowing what the citizens want in regards to the department.
Okay. You looking for questions?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions? Do you understand it? All right, what's the pleasure of the board then? Accept this proposal from, what is the name of the company? In
Focus.
In Focus. I thought it was like that. Is there a motion that we accept this proposal from In Focus?
I'll make a motion, we accept the proposal for master plan and site-specific services from InFocus.
All right, board, you've heard the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor of Mr. Dixon's motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, we're down now to item 10. Hometown Halloween. Yeah, you gonna take this, Brenda?
Yes, sir. Hometown Halloween will be on October the 31st from 6 to 8. We have started gathering groups to participate. We know that the fire department is going to do something. And we also know that the library. So we would like to do the same thing we did last year and block off the streets from Belcher all the way down to Church Street from a period of 5 p.m. in order for us to set up to, let's say 10 p.m. just to make sure everybody's gone and off the streets.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions to Commissioner Elks? You know the routine, and certainly this is something that we need to
Chief Green
support.
has.
Chief Green.
Oh, okay.
Mayor, the new DOT regulation is, anytime the town wants to close down the state maintained road, you have to do a resolution. And we have to send that resolution into DOT for approval. And so I don't know, I think last time the town manager just sent something out to everybody, got everybody's okay with it, and we put out a resolution and sent it in. Or maybe Jeffrey did, I don't know. And so that's the only thing that I would say is we need to make sure that if we're going to close the road, that we have a resolution from the town saying.
But basically, it was, I think it was related to Music on Main before, but we would do basically the exactly same resolution wording, except it would be the date and time and purpose would be changed, of course, the section of the road. But and so, I can send it out like Jeffrey did before, or you can adopt the resolution for this purpose, and I'll just send it out to you as information like I did with the,
Can we take care of it on the 18th?
I don't know how long it takes to.
It takes, what was it, about 3 weeks, Jeff? For it to get us this, we're waiting on DOT, so we're waiting on DOT.
Well, we can do it either way that you guys want, but it just seemed like maybe the 18th is about 6 weeks before Halloween.
That's y'all's decision.
Yeah, I was just thinking if you could, if you agree to those terms, the resolution would be just basically, you can refer to the resolution, but it's just a format as opposed to the meeting.
All right. Commissioner Dixon gonna make a motion.
I'll make a motion, we authorize the town manager to execute a resolution to close the streets Commissioner Elts indicated on October 31st from 5 to 10.
Okay. Y'all heard the motion? Any discussion on that? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed would be no. And that completes the agenda as I see it, other than the citizen comments. And this is where you can come back if you like and make any comments on what you've heard here this evening.
I have a comment.
Okay.
Please, sir. I would like to remind the board and our fire department, and if there are any EMS people and the Farmville Police Department, about our first responders dinner on the 17th of September at the First Baptist Church at 6 o'clock p.m.
Okay. Thank you. And,
You're welcome.
any other comments? Any comments from the board up here? Commissioner Hobbs, do you have any? You have a real nice event this past Saturday that you.
We had a wonderful event this past weekend. For those of you who do not know, we did unveil the mural on the corner of Cotton and Main. And it's going to be a beautiful, commemorable park for H.B. Sugg High School. We had a very nice crowd there. A lot of people coming back to town for the reunion that was held that night. And Mayor Evans, you will be pleased to know that even after the unveiling, because of the unveiling, people were still coming back to Main Street up to about 9 o'clock that night. because they heard about it, and they were just ecstatic. After the unveiling, we had a gala where we honored faculty and principals of HB-SUG. We honored Farmville's first from HB-SUGs, and those were students who left here in the 60s, and they excelled in jobs that they were the first African Americans in those jobs. And we honored the class of 1968. And you know, the school closed in 71, so there's only a few more classes to have a 50th year reunion. But it was very well received, and people now are looking forward to seeing the completed park. And we do have bricks for sale. And if you would like to have your name on one of those bricks, see me, and I'll be happy to give you a form, and you can give me a check. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Commissioner D. Jack?
Good, thank you.
Good,
Huh?
thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. With that, then, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, we
Huh?
have
Oh,
Mr. John Sproul.
I'd like to commemorate the mayor and this board for proceeding to get the community block grant back again, because it's a lot of houses that people with low and moderate income needs this process to help them pursue a happy environment to their homes. And we thank you.
well, thank you, John. I'm sorry I didn't see you raise your hand. The key, though, is, and I've been through this before.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But you're really gonna have to get the word out that they're owner occupied, and that is difficult sometimes.
This be last time, but we need to let them promote the 18th for the community. So
Yeah, okay.
I think we'll have a lot of people there.
Thank you, John. Is there anyone else? Let me overlook you. All right, now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Y'all don't-
I move to adjourn.
All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. I thought I wasn't gonna get one.
What to do at 7:15?
Yeah, face coming at me. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.